When I realized that changing to please was not love, I freed myself. Hello, my name is Maria, and what I'm about to tell you here isn't just any story, but a personal journey that changed everything about me. It all began at a time in my life when I was 23, at the peak of my career, and in a relationship that seemed perfect, or at least that's what I thought. I worked as a project manager at a tech company, an environment where independence and focus were essential. At that time, I was happy. With Joshua, my boyfriend of 7 years, and I believed our future would be together. The routine was stable, peaceful, and love seemed enough to overcome anything. But not everything was as I imagined. At first, his doubts about marriage were small, almost imperceptible. He talked about the future, about plans, but always with a certain hesitation. When he finally told me that his family saw my independent streak as a problem, I wasn't sure how to react. His mother and father had a very traditional view of what a wife should be, a woman who prioritized family and put her career aside. I was anything but. And that was the seed of my greatest internal struggle, trying to be someone I wasn't to please the one I loved. I tried to conform to their expectations. I abandoned some projects, avoided talking too much about my career, and became less ambitious, all to fit their expectations. I didn't want to lose Joshua, but I slowly felt like I was losing myself too. It was as if I were playing a character in a script I didn't write. The family gatherings, the dinners, the conversations, everything felt like a constant test. And the more I pushed myself, the further I strayed from my true self. The pressure was immense, and no one seemed to realize how much it hurt. Joshua, however, didn't stand up for who I really was. Whenever anyone in the family made a comment or criticism, he remained silent, as if he didn't want to create conflict. This hurt me deeply. I needed him by my side, as a partner, an ally, but he seemed more interested in pleasing his parents than supporting me. This began to erode my trust and our relationship. I felt alone, even when we were together. That emptiness was agonizing, and I began to question whether the love we felt was truly what I thought. The fights were inevitable, not only because of what I felt, but also because of what he didn't say, because of his absences and the doubts that grew in his eyes. I tried to talk, to express my feelings, to show him that I needed to be loved just the way I was, but he shut himself down. His family was always there, a giant shadow that seemed to control his every move, and I, increasingly suffocated, wondered if it was worth continuing to fight for a love that required me to give up myself. The dream of marriage began to crumble before my eyes. I reached the point of hating myself. I felt like my worth depended on their approval, that I needed to change to be worthy of love. This created a massive self-esteem crisis. I cried alone, trying to understand where I had gone wrong, where my independence had become a flaw. During endless nights, I asked myself if I was wrong for wanting to be who I was, or if I was wrong for expecting him to accept me this way. It was such a cruel internal battle that it nearly left me without the strength to move forward. It was then that I made a painful but necessary decision. I could no longer continue living to please his family, nor to be a lesser version of myself. I decided to end that relationship, even though I knew it meant giving up a future I had so lovingly planned. I felt fear, insecurity, and profound sadness, but also a quiet relief, as if I were finally breathing after years trapped in a cocoon. I needed to rediscover myself and rebuild my life based on the truth of my own heart. The separation wasn't easy. The following weeks were a whirlwind of emotions, doubts, and loneliness. Friends tried to comfort me, but only those in my shoes could understand the depth of the pain. I missed what we were, what could have been, but I also felt a quiet pride in not having given up on myself. Independence, once seen as a liability, was now my greatest strength. And it was at that moment that I began to see my worth beyond the eyes of those who couldn't see me fully. Little by little, I resumed the projects I'd put aside, immersed myself in work, and began investing in myself. I went to therapy, sought emotional support, and above all, allowed myself to feel. There was no rush to erase the pain, because I knew that each tear was a step toward healing. I started keeping a journal, where I poured out my anxieties and also my daily achievements. It was a slow but liberating process. The reconstruction of myself was beginning, and I was ready to be my own best companion. Over time, I met Paolo. He took his time, didn't try to mold me, didn't make demands. He loved me exactly as I was, with my ambitions, my weaknesses, and my dreams. This love was different. It was a love that strengthened me and made me want to be even better, not out of obligation, but out of desire. With Paulo, I learned that a healthy relationship is one where respect and acceptance prevail. He showed me that being myself was enough, and that shared happiness comes from authenticity and mutual support. 5 years after our separation, Joshua appeared again, saying that his marriage to a woman who was ideal for his family had failed. He wanted to try to get back together. I listened to his words with serenity and even a bit of sadness, but my decision was made. I had lived long enough to know that I couldn't go back to someone who never truly loved me, but an idealized image of me that didn't exist. I refused his proposal, not with bitterness, but with the certainty that my path was now different. The story I share here is not about a lost love, but about rediscovering myself. It was painful to leave behind who I believed I should be, to fully accept myself. This journey taught me that self-love is the foundation of any healthy relationship. If someone doesn't accept you just the way you are, maybe it's not worth it. The path to overcoming was paved with tears, struggle, but above all, the courage to be true to myself. And this courage gave me the freedom I always dreamed of. Before all this, I was a young woman full of plans, happy, but naive about the external forces that could affect my relationship. I thought love was enough to overcome everything. Today, I understand that love is also about respect, support, and mutual acceptance. The challenges started small, but became increasingly difficult to ignore. The pressure from his family was a weight I carried alone for a long time, until I realized that, to be happy, I needed to free myself from that burden. At the beginning of our relationship, Joshua saw me as the ideal partner, but his perception soon changed, influenced by his family's rhetoric. Insecurity took over, and I felt invisible, as if my voice and my dreams didn't matter. The struggle to fit into standards that weren't mine began to consume me. I did everything to please, but nothing was enough. The feeling of inadequacy corroded my soul, and each day I distanced myself further from who I truly was. At many points, I doubted myself. I wondered if my independence was a flaw, if my career was truly an obstacle to love. These doubts weakened me, left me vulnerable, and forced me into a cycle of destructive self-criticism. It was difficult to break free, but the realization that I cannot give up who I am to be loved was the spark that ignited my recovery. Accepting my strengths and weaknesses was a slow and painful process, but essential. Joshua's lack of defense in the face of family pressure was a deep wound. I felt betrayed, not because he abandoned me, but because he didn't protect me when I needed it most. His silence in the face of these veiled attacks hurt me deeply. I needed a partner who would fight with me, who would believe in me, who would be my shield, not my judgment. When I realized that would never happen, I summoned the courage to leave, even though I didn't know exactly where I was going. The breakup was a turning point. The emptiness I felt was as great as the hope that had blossomed within me. I no longer had the person I thought was my safe haven, but I began to become my own shelter. It was a time of great loneliness, but also of self-discovery. The sleepless nights and tears taught me to listen to my heart and understand that, to be loved, I first needed to love myself deeply. The internal struggle was arduous, but necessary. During recovery, I found therapy to be a safe space to express my fears and anxieties. Talking to someone impartial helped me understand that my quest for approval was a trap I had created myself. I began to see my worth regardless of outside opinions. Small steps led to major internal changes. With each session, I felt stronger, more capable of facing the world, and closer to the woman I truly wanted to be. One detail that marked my transformation was when I decided to restart a personal project I had abandoned: photography. Through the lens, I found a new perspective on myself and life. Capturing moments, lights, and shadows helped me see the beauty in imperfection, including in my own story. This passion rekindled within me the flame of authenticity, the pleasure of being who I am, not who others wanted me to be. Photography was my escape and my therapy. Paulo's arrival was a gift I didn't expect. He came into my life when I least believed in love, showing me that true love doesn't require change, but celebrates who we are. Paulo loved me with all my nuances, respecting my choices and encouraging my dreams. With him, I learned the value of companionship and genuine support. Our relationship was built on mutual respect and the freedom to be ourselves, and that made all the difference. With Paulo, I understood that a healthy relationship isn't one that suffocates, but one that expands. He gave me space to grow, to make mistakes, and to be vulnerable. Together, we built a love that didn't require masks or adaptations. This experience reinforced my belief that true love is liberating. With him, I experienced the feeling of being valued for all that I am, without pressure or conditioning. This transformed my self-esteem and my view of what I deserve in a relationship. When Joshua reappeared, I felt a mix of emotions: surprise, sadness, and even a bit of compassion. He admitted that the marriage he had with the woman his family chose for him hadn't worked out, and asked for a fresh start. At that moment, I was certain of my decision. There was no longer any room for doubt. I refused, not out of resentment, but because I understood that love isn't about transforming the other person, but about accepting and being accepted. My heart already belonged elsewhere, to a love that didn't ask me to change. This refusal was, for me, a definitive milestone in my overcoming. It meant I had broken with old patterns, with the search for external approval, and with the illusion that love must be suffocating to work. My choice was an act of self-love and self-respect. I don't need to be the ideal person for his family because I am ideal for myself and for those who truly love me. This awareness brought me peace and emotional freedom I had never experienced before. What I learned most along this journey was that authenticity is a non-negotiable value. Losing a love that demanded change from me was painful, but gaining the freedom to be who I am was worth every tear. I discovered that self-love is the foundation for any other form of love. Without it, we are fragile and vulnerable to manipulation or neglect. With it, we become stronger and build true relationships based on respect and mutual acceptance. Today, when I look back, I see a stronger, more aware, and happier Maria. I understand that suffering was necessary to make me see what truly matters. It's not just about romantic love, but about love for life and for oneself. This learning is something I carry with me and want to share to inspire others who, like me, may be facing the painful decision of leaving behind someone who doesn't accept them fully. My life is now full of plans, dreams, and, above all, the freedom to be myself. I'm not afraid to be authentic because I know it connects me with those who truly matter. My career has flourished because I let go of my need for approval and started investing in what makes me happy. I feel fulfilled, not because I have a perfect relationship, but because I have a true relationship that strengthens and respects me. This transformation has changed my story and my destiny. A defining moment came during a family meeting with Paulo, when I realized how my past insecurities no longer held sway. I was able to speak up, express my opinions, and feel comfortable in my own skin. This confidence I built didn't come overnight, but through constant work on self-knowledge and self-acceptance. It was a silent but enormous victory, which made me realize how much I've evolved. I won't deny that I still have moments of doubt, but today I know how to deal with them in a healthy way. I no longer let myself be swayed by other people's opinions and have learned to trust my own judgment. This inner security is the result of overcoming so many internal and external battles I've faced. I know I'm capable of building a fulfilling life, whatever challenges come my way. This gives me the strength to move forward, always true to myself. Sharing my story with you is a way of saying that overcoming obstacles is possible, even when it seems like the world is against us. No matter how difficult the path, the courage to be authentic and love yourself is what makes all the difference. Life is a journey of discovery and change, and accepting who we are is the first step to building healthy relationships and a happy life. I hope my experience can inspire someone to never give up on themselves. Today, looking back, I see not only pain, but also learning and growth. Each challenge taught me something valuable about love, respect, and authenticity. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm true to myself, and that's what matters. Overcoming adversity isn't an endpoint, but a continuous process of self-acceptance and evolution. I'm ready to continue this journey with an open heart and the certainty that I deserve to be loved just the way I am. Recalling this story also makes me appreciate the small daily achievements, the moments of joy I built after the storm. Every smile, every professional victory, every gesture of love from Paulo are reminders that I chose the right path. Gratitude is a constant feeling within me, because I know that even in the most difficult moments, there was a lesson waiting to be learned. This strengthens me and gives me hope for the future. At many moments, I felt alone, that no one understood what I was going through. But by sharing my story, I realized the power of empathy and human connection. Knowing that my experience can touch others is one of the greatest gifts I've received. It encourages me to continue being authentic and to support those who are also seeking their own breakthrough. Together, we can transform pain into strength and fear into courage. His family's influence was an immense challenge that, for a long time, made me question my worth. But today I understand that those who don't accept us don't deserve a place in our hearts. The freedom to be ourselves is fundamental to any relationship we want to be healthy. I learned to say no to what hurts me and yes to what helps me grow. This change in attitude brought me peace and self-respect I had never experienced before. If I could go back in time, I would tell myself to trust my intuition more and not try to please everyone. Love shouldn't be a prison, but a freedom. I deserve to be loved for who I am, not for what someone expects me to be. This message is what I carry with me and what I want to share with anyone reading this. Don't lose yourself to being loved, because true love begins within you. Today, my marriage to Paulo is living proof that it's possible to be happy without sacrificing your true self. It's not a fairy tale, but a real relationship, with challenges and joys, where respect and love walk hand in hand. This experience gives me hope and inspiration to continue believing in love, but a love that is genuine and liberating. I'm grateful to have found this balance and to be able to share it with you. My story isn't just about a relationship that ended, but about awakening to the importance of self-love. I discovered that the foundation of everything lies in respecting ourselves, accepting ourselves, and putting ourselves first when necessary. This process was painful, but also transformative. Today, I feel stronger, more whole, and happier. The journey continues, but now with the certainty that I can face any obstacle. I want you, reading this now, to know that you are not alone. We all face internal and external battles, but the courage to be true to yourself is the greatest victory. Don't be afraid to walk away from what doesn't do you good and seek what fulfills you. Transformation is possible, and it starts with small steps, one day at a time. Believe in yourself and your worth. What impacted me most on this journey was realizing that love shouldn't be an imposition, but an invitation. An invitation to grow, to be free, to be authentic. When this is lacking, it's a sign that something needs to change. I changed my life when I understood this and left behind a love that demanded renunciation. Today, I celebrate my freedom and the love I found in my own truth. Finally, I want to emphasize that everyone deserves to be loved for who they truly are, without masks or false adaptations. Life is too short to live for the approval of others. I chose my happiness, my authenticity, and my self-love, and that choice was the greatest act of courage I've ever made. I hope this story inspires others to do the same and to never give up on themselves. The journey of overcoming is continuous, but each step taken with sincerity and courage brings us closer to inner peace. I am Maria, and this is my story of liberation and true love. I don't know everything that future holds, but I know that from now on, I will always walk true to myself, with my heart open to what is good and true. Thank you for listening to my story.